Hello, my name is Chester Damron, and this is my tribute speech of Mr. Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson was one of the co-founders of the program Alcoholics Anonymous. I'd like to read from the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, on page 1, a quote that Mr. Bill saw when he was in World War I over in England on a tombstone. It says, "Here lies a Hampshire grenadier who caught his death drinking cold small beer. A good soldier is never forgot, whether he dieth by musket or pot." It says here, ominous warning, which he failed to heed. William Griffith Wilson was born on November 26, 1895 in East Dorset, Vermont, behind the bar of a hotel owned by his grandparents, according to Ryan in his biography of Bill Wilson in 2005. Oddly enough, born in a bar, life of an alcoholic. It's funny that he was born behind a bar because Bill Wilson is best known for co-founding the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Bill Wilson worked tirelessly to spread the message of AA to individuals with suffering with alcoholism. And that again is from Ryan's biography on Bill Wilson of 2005. Although this became his passion in his later years, it took Mr. Wilson many years to achieve sobriety and gain the ability to help others. Bill Wilson was a military officer during the First World War and a successful Wall Street stockbroker during the 1920s. He had paper millions, but progressed from social drinking to a daily battle that at the end of his battle left him in search of a greater purpose to help people like himself find a better life. Because of Bill Wilson and the work that he and Dr. Bob Smith, the other co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, put into helping other people, of course, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous was founded. It originated in Akron, Ohio, where Dr. Bob Smith was from, and then they formed a group there, and Bill Wilson returned to New York, where he was from, and later formed another group there. And since 1935, the program has spread to the millions, and it helps people in other countries. I think 157 countries total have some form of Alcoholics Anonymous program, involved there. Because of Bill Wilson, Dr. Bob, and the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the develop of the 12 steps through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, other 12-step recovery programs have come along from them. They've got Cocaine Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and even Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christ-centered 12-step recovery program. And these have helped me in my life, and a number of my friends battle through, the struggles of alcohol and drug addiction to find freedom. For me and people that I'm around on a daily basis, ultimately through Jesus Christ. But the 12 steps is a good foundation and a good tool to get us there. But I'll get into a little bit more of that in a minute. Bill Wilson started his life with many struggles. When he was 7 years old, his parents divorced, which that was in the early 1900s, so pretty much unheard of. And he went and lived with his grandparents. Another reason for that too is after his parents separated, his mom went off to school, never to return, and his dad moved to Canada, and he tried at a relationship with him, over the years, but failed attempts got him nowhere with that. As a teenager, Bill began to recover from the emotional shock of his parents' divorce. He was a promising scholar and became captain of his high school's baseball team, and he played the violin in the school orchestra, according to Ryan in his biography of Bill Wilson, 2005. Out of high school, Wilson attended college for a brief time, and then he enlisted in the military in 1917. Wilson moved quickly through his military training and was stationed in New York and Virginia before receiving his commission as a second lieutenant in the Army. And that again is from Ryan's biography, Bill Wilson, 2005. During this time, before being stationed overseas to fight in World War I, Bill Wilson married his wife Lois. Wilson was then sent to Europe to fight during World War I. He started to drink alcohol there as a way to battle loneliness and depression brought on by war and memories of his past. After Wilson returned home from the war, he began to work on Wall Street as a stockbroker, and in his prime he made millions. For the next few years, fortune threw money and applause my way. I had arrived. My judgment and ideas were followed by many to the tune of paper millions. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, 1976, the 3rd edition, page 3. This period of his life would be short-lived as a result of the stock market crash of 1929. Wilson, now broke, was a daily drinker who would have jitters if he didn't consume alcohol before breakfast. He was without hope. Then came a change mentally. He had to quit drinking before it took his life. This had to be stopped. I saw I could not take so much as one more drink. I thought I was through forever. Before then I had written lots of sweet promises, but my wife happily observed that this time I meant business. And so I did. Shortly afterward I came home drunk. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, chapter 1, Bill's story, page 5. You know, how cliche, you know, I want to stop, but I don't know how. And Mr. Wilson lived this way for the better part of 5 years. You know, knowing that he needed to quit, knowing that it was getting him nowhere, it was ruining his marriage. He couldn't hold a job. In and out of insane asylums. Now we have jails and prisons that take care of these kind of people. But back in his time, they had, you know, insane asylums. People would be committed. And this was an ongoing struggle for him. In the year 1934, Bill Wilson finally made the decision to stay sober. And he did. He found, with the doctor's help, Dr. Robert Smith, the other co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, when people who are sober try to help out people dealing with alcoholism, they stay sober in the process. The AA fellowship originated with the idea that only an alcoholic can understand and help another alcoholic. That is from Ryan's biography of Bill Wilson, 2005. Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson started the first program in Akron, Ohio, where Dr. Bob was from. Wilson returned to New York later in 1935, where he formed a second support group. Ryan, biography of Bill Wilson, 2005. A short time after the foundation of Alcoholics Anonymous, there was starting to become a success rate of people getting sobriety. The book of Alcoholics Anonymous was written in 1939. In 2000, there were more than 99,000 groups of Alcoholics Anonymous. There is AA activity in 150 countries with an estimated membership of over 2 million people. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, 3rd edition, 1976, page 162. This is how the last paragraph of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous closes. It says, "Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past and give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then." That's Alcoholics Anonymous, 3rd edition, 1976, page 164. Because of Bill Wilson's life change and direction and the program of AA, many other recovery groups have formed around the frame of the 12 steps. The group Narcotics Anonymous was founded in 1953. The group has its own textbook and they have their own set of guidelines. The group focuses more on recovery from narcotics, of course, hence the name, but the 12 steps they use come from Bill Wilson's work with Alcoholics Anonymous. The group Cocaine Anonymous also uses the same 12 steps. They obviously concentrate on cocaine dependency more than any other substance, but the same basic principles are in place to help people find freedom from their addictions to cocaine by helping others. The last group, and the most important one in my opinion, is the recovery program called Celebrate Recovery. It was started in 1992 at Saddleback Church in California by a man named John Baker. John Baker had a alcohol-dependent son, and his son would go to AA and things of that nature, and of course Alcoholics Anonymous, they say to surrender yourself to a higher power, or the higher power of your understanding. I'll read something in a minute that's a little bit different, because the program of AA was founded on God and the principles of God, but because of its all-inclusiveness, they want anybody that needs help to get help. You know, oh, you're agnostic. Come on, we'll help you get sober. You're atheist. Come on, we'll help you get sober. You're Christian. Come on, we'll help you get sober. So that's the reason for that. But John Baker wanted a Christ-centered recovery program for his son. So he and a few other people developed Celebrate Recovery. Baker used the same 12 steps that started with Alcoholics Anonymous, and he incorporated biblical principles to go along with them. Because of the single life change that happened in Bill Wilson, millions of people around the world have the opportunity to find freedom from their addictions to alcohol and drugs, or because of Celebrate Recovery, they can find freedom from life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. With Celebrate Recovery, you don't have to have a chemical dependency. If you've got, you know, an overeating addiction, or if you're a people pleaser, codependency, you know, many other of the life hurts and things that get us caught in sin, they deal with those problems at Celebrate Recovery along with chemical dependency and alcoholism. So that's a good thing. The amazing thing about 12-step recovery is people can work the steps even if they don't abuse substances, and it's all thanks to Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson didn't start out with a life plan for helping others with addictions. He was a soldier, a stockbroker, and a husband. Through a series of events that led him to despair and hopelessness, he finally decided to put the bottle down and do something to save his own life. In that decision, he and Dr. Bob would create a program for alcoholics that taught sobriety through helping others, and a process called the 12 Steps that would be standard to any recovery program. I want to read page 12 of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous before finishing my presentation. This was when Bill Wilson said enough was enough. Thus I was convinced that God is concerned with us humans when we want Him enough. At long last I saw, I felt, I believed. Scales of pride and prejudice fell from my eyes. A new world came into view. The real significance of my experience in the cathedral burst upon me. There had been a humble willingness to have God with me, and He came, but soon the sense of His presence had been blotted out by worldly clamors, mostly those within myself. And so it had been ever since, how blind I had been. At the hospital I was separated from alcohol for the last time. Treatment seemed wise, for I showed signs of delirium tremens, or tremors. There I humbly offered myself to God, as then I understood Him, to do with me as He would. I placed myself unreservedly under His care and direction. I admitted for the first time that of myself I was nothing, and that without Him I was lost. I ruthlessly faced my sins and became willing to have my newfound friend take them away, root and branch. I have not had a drink since. And then, you know, the rest is history. But I appreciate y'all listening to my tribute speech on Mr. Bill Wilson. If you get the chance, do some research of your own and find out more about his life. Thank you very much.